UGA, UGA, that's that underground Athens. UGA, that's that underground. It's a long way up, it's a long way down. Sometimes you get to past the ones you see on the way back down. It's a long way up, it's a long way down. You got to learn to love yourself before someone else. I said it's great to be a Georgia Bulldog. Say it's great to be a Georgia Bulldog. I said it's great to be a Georgia Bulldog.
You know, I always be pointing this picture out, and I be always, shouting this picture out, and I always be telling y'all about this portrait. And I always be telling y'all to look a little deep in that portrait and then look at the pain in the eyes. I mean, cause some people can, draw, paint, etc., etc., but you can see some feeling and emotion inside of that portrait. And then sometimes I even get y'all to zoom in on some things, boom, like the Coke bottle, little small messages. Because Juneteenth is coming up.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to go and speak on that too, because since we had Juneteenth, and since Juneteenth has been accurate, since it been here and they supply us with it, allow us to have it, or documented it,
turn into a federal holiday.
y'all niggas be on some other ish. Because I figured that, there would be, at least a time, at least one day that, we would be able to get along and cooperate with each other, have fun and celebrate things, about our past, and just try to, spread some love. But every Juneteenth is a bunch of nonsense. A lot of fights, a lot of killing, a lot of shootouts on Juneteenth. A lot of niggas killing niggas on Juneteenth. And I just don't understand it. I mean, I know it's going on every day, etc., etc., but on Juneteenth, it's like, that's all I see in the blogs, that's all I see in the news, that's all I see in the newspaper. On Juneteenth. Y'all go to these parties, y'all get lit, and shoot them up. Even that party that you have dedicated for that Juneteenth parties. I don't understand. But hey, I love y'all and I want y'all to do better. I ask y'all to do better. Because we already got too much black on black going on as it is. Not only that, they trying to kill us too. But let's move on from that. First, before we get started, I might want to speak on that too. Because Juneteenth, the month of Father's Day, right?
Yes, it's the weekend falls on right in between Father's Day.
And I just dig a little deeper. I mean, because fathers, we don't have that many, and definitely as African Americans, we don't have that many fathers, or we don't have that many people that wants to lead or be a father in the community. And now the whole month is dedicated to the LGBTQJs.
LGBTQIA, all of that.
Yeah, all of that.
The
alphabet. Not the boys, but the people. The rainbow, flag, pride. There we go. And I don't take nothing away from that.
Definitely not. Yeah, they're people too.
Exactly. And as it already said, do all things with love. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Judge not, so you won't be judged, etc., etc., etc. So that's another thing I just don't understand. We got a lot of different months. Y'all could have gave them a different month and let the Father's Day, because there's a lot going on. I mean, give them their whole month, but I feel like it's taken away from fathers being fathers in Juneteenth, when let that be dedicated to what it's dedicated to. But y'all just think about that. And pride. Pride. I love you too. And I want you to be who you are. I want you to be who you are. If you in a closet, they hate you too. Same way as they hated Christ that was on the cross. But we are all human beings. We're all people, and I want you to know that. There's no hate over here. But now, before we get started, I want to have a moment of silence. Can you have a moment of silence with me? For all the loved ones we lost. For all the people who paid the cost. For all the soldiers, lost soldiers, fallen soldiers that died for fighting for a cause. Maybe that they believed in, maybe they didn't even believe in. Let's do that now. Hey, thank y'all for choosing to keep it real with Mr. White. Thank you for having time to sit down with me to enjoy this new episode with Keeping It Real with Mr. White. Today we have a guest, young friend of mine, young brother of mine, young artist of mine that I know. Not that it didn't sound right, young artist of mine. But this young artist, I know you have tapped in a couple times and you was wondering like, who did that? The picture behind me, the portrait behind me. That's just a little something simple, but he has much more. And that's something that I love to do. I want to support my black men. Somebody that's doing something positive. Because just like rappers, they can paint a picture in their music. His music is the same way in his portrait. Tell them who you are.
Yeah, so what's up, everybody? I'm Broderick Flanigan, born and raised here in Athens, Georgia, and I wear many hats in this community. One of them is an artist. One of them is a community leader. Um, I advocate for different marginalized groups, black and brown folks. Um, partner with different organizations in the community to have a positive impact. Working mostly in economic justice. Did some stuff with housing justice, as well as education too. And so those are just some of the areas what I focus on when I'm, working in community with other people and organizing to push back on the status quo, to make sure that we have our space, in local politics, that we're included in local politics and government processes and all of that jazz. I like to have fun and chill out too. I shoot pool, play ball, play basketball. Um, got into salsa dancing back in 2019. Yep. So I'll be out there, doing my two-step and whatnot. But yeah, art is a big passion of mine as well, though. Big community artist. I do a lot of public art all over Athens, all around Georgia, all over the U.S. I have murals in other states, in North Carolina, South Carolina, out on the West Coast in Seattle, Washington, out in the Midwest in Denver, Colorado. And so, I have one mural in Kenya, Africa as well. A couple of murals over there at an orphanage that my church partnered with a few years back. And yeah, that's, a snapshot of who I am and what I do. Yeah. I love to set some ground rules too, man. Like I'm big on like community and respect and all that. And so I try not to use like the N word a lot. I know this is your platform and I know you like to keep it real. But that's just a word that I try not to use. I do slip up and use it sometime, when I'm around my peers and my friends and whatnot. But I don't know, it just has a negative connotation to me in my spirit, And then also, I don't like talking negatively about black people. We have our faults, we have our shortcomings and whatnot, just like any other group of people. But I feel some type of way when I hear people talk negatively about black people. You know, even though there is some violence in our community, but there's violence in the white community too. But we don't really call that white on white crime. You know, we just call it crime. But crime, I feel like is a thing just out of proximity, like who you're around. You know, most black people, we live in a segregated society. Most black people live with other black people. So, of course, it's going to be black people doing violence against each other. Just like it's white people in certain spaces doing violence against them because we live in a segregated society. So those are my main two ground rules that I hope we can come to some kind of balance on, you know?
No, we ain't got to come to balance. None of that. No, because you just touched a real spot for me.
Okay. Let's talk. Let's speak on it.
Because
let's speak on it.
What you just said.
Yes, sir.
Black on black, black on black. Just because we together or we stay together, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
That don't mean that it has to be black on black crime.
No, that's just a phrase that was coined or invented. You know, like crime is crime, no matter if it's black on black, black on white. Crime is crime. But why does it have to be this thing called black on black crime? That's no more prevalent in other communities. Crime that happens with white people all the time. Domestic violence, they fight at bars downtown, but we don't talk about it the same way as what I'm saying. I'm not saying it don't exist. I'm not saying black people aren't committing crime against each other. I'm just talking about the way we talk about it and the way we put it in a certain context.
See, when I talk about it and I put it in my content,
yeah, yes, sir,
it's because I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't want it either.
I think we should be supporting each other.
Of course.
And when I be saying that, because true, it is white on white crime. There is white on black crime.
Mm-hmm.
There is white on black crime, and we continue to kill each other. Mm-hmm. We got so many stumbling blocks, so many obstacles, and we keep falling into it and keep. What you say you don't want this and you don't want this. But that's what we, as most of our people, the percentage, we keep doing.
Mm.
We keep downing our brothers. We keep killing our brothers and our sisters.
Mm.
Episode earlier this week, gang violence. We keep sending the wrong message and killing these little kids, recruiting these little kids. And it's the black and the brown.
Mm-hmm.
I love my Hispanic people. I love my African American people. But sometimes I feel that I need to drop it on them in a different way because sometimes they just don't get it. Oh, yeah. Sometimes, you know, they grew up in this society where that's all they got was negative, and all they understand is, profanity language, yelling, that N-word talk.
Yeah.
But the ignorant talk, because the N-word is ignorant. And whenever you guys hear me, that's why I be like, I don't be like that with all African Americans. Right. It be those ignorant people that just works my nerves.
Oh yeah.
That don't try to give back to the community, sort of like you.
Yeah.
But everybody not you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody not me. So I can't expect everybody to be me or think like I think. Yeah. But I can, you know what I'm saying, try to drop this on them so maybe they can think that, like, you know, maybe I can stop taking and figure out how can I give? How can I stop this group of people from being rebellious and being heartless and just doing things in broad daylight, like shooting in broad daylight when bullets don't have names on it, because some people want to be sociable acceptable.
Yeah.
I'm worried about what the next person thinking about. I'm a punk. People, we come from a long line of strongness.
Mm-hmm.
You're not weak. You're not dumb. But yet we always, you know, feel less than, because some people or some other cultures try to make us feel less than. Mm-hmm. Even some people in our culture make us feel less than. And that's something that I want to change. I don't know how, so I talk about it. And sometimes I talk to them in a way that maybe they understand, that maybe they can get it, because some of these, you can't be sweet to them.
Well, go ahead. I mean, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go.
At the same time, I would like to just add. I mean, I think you're spot on in most of what you're saying, and also we can't leave out the fact that a lot of people in Black and brown communities are dealing with trauma too, and it's a lot. And different people respond to trauma differently. Like it's a saying that goes on, like hurt people hurt people. People that grow up in a certain type of household, whether it be domestic abuse, whether it be drug abuse, substance abuse issues, that takes a toll on a child growing up in that environment. Like I know firsthand what that feels like. I chose to respond in a different way, but I could have easily responded in a negative way by lashing out, by being violent, by taking it there. You know what I mean? And so I'm not saying it all boils down to personal choice either. But trauma is baked into that scenario as well. Like if somebody, having a bad week and somebody bump into them the wrong way, it may be 10 other things that happened to them before that person bumped into them. But that little bump on the shoulder, that's what set them off in that moment. So they might not even be mad that they got bumped, but they might just be projecting all that other stuff that happened earlier in the week.
Right, release that stress out on somebody.
Right,
and
trying
I
to take it out
told
on
y'all
somebody.
that so many times. Be careful. Sometimes you just gotta shut up. Agree to disagree, because you don't know what that other person went through. You don't know what they've been through. Check me out now. Check me out. I know some of the stuff that he talking about right now. I know some of the stuff that he been through. So, with what you just said, in say your lifestyle now, and then growing up, and some of the things you've been through, experience. How did you take a different route? Because I know where you come from. You understand? I know where you come from. How did you take a different route, bro?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't easy. And again, it was all around me. The drugs, the alcohol, the gun activity, the violence. The hanging out all times of night. It was a community, man. In the hood, growing up in different communities. And so it has its challenges. One thing that I think kept me on the straight and narrow was my art. I would get lost in like drawing, and I would sit in my room sometimes and draw for hours. I use that as like a coping mechanism. I witnessed both of my parents struggle when I was young with substance abuse issues, and I knew I didn't want that for my life when I grew up, and so I stayed away from a lot of that, especially as a teenager. I got into drinking alcohol and doing things like that as I got older, but I knew the ramifications and what that pathway could lead to, because I saw it firsthand, how it destroys families. And I was very conscious and intentional in choosing a different pathway, or trying to figure out a different pathway. Like you mentioned earlier, there's not a lot of examples in our community of certain type of leaders in terms of like being in that proximity within like the Nelly B's, the Bethel Homes, the Rock Springs, the Paul Doe. There's some in there.
The projects in Athens.
Yeah, the projects in Athens.
That's what those are.
At the same time, it's not a lot of the more prominent leaders coming to that community on a daily basis, talking to students, doing projects and programs within those neighborhoods. There's not a lot of people that I know of that back then when I was growing up that was doing stuff like that. We did get picked up sometimes by, UGA and a couple of professors here and there, like the Gentleman on the Move program. I don't know if you remember that program. I was in that program. We met on Saturdays, but it was just like one day a week. And we talked about a lot of different things about community, about how to be a man, about how to be a positive impact in your community.
I actually think I was in that program.
Yeah, they taught us about public speaking.
They took us to the neighborhood clinic. That's where we was at.
Sometimes, yeah, I think so.
'Cause I think, I think that's where I met.
Pete Fair had a program too, like Toastmasters and all that. Yeah, so I mean, we had a couple of people like Pete Fair, you know, that would come to the neighborhood.
Max
But it
Sewell.
wasn't, but it wasn't that, it wasn't popular. Or it wasn't that many people like engaged and involved in those type of programs. And so, but I mean, I did find refuge though at the community center though, at East Athens Community Center when I was standing in Nelly B in 6th grade. That's when I met some of my first mentors, Wayne, Coach Wayne Fairfax, Venus Gerald. You know, I ended up playing in the band with him. I played trumpet. Um,
You really got many hats on.
yeah, man, I do a lot of stuff, or I did a lot of stuff back then. Bankster on the 2nd floor, playing pool, ping pong. You know, it was adults like that I, came in contact with in the community centers when I was up there playing ball. That's another thing that kept me out the streets too, playing basketball. Like every day after school, I would go to East Athens Community Center. The gym was like wide open. It was there for us. You know, like it breaks my heart to see like earlier, like a few years ago, even before the pandemic, some of the gyms just weren't accessible to teenagers. They had shut it down and they didn't allow teenagers to come at a certain time or after a certain time.
And it don't take that long to get lost in the sauce.
Right. And again, that was some of the things that kept me out of a certain lifestyle. Being able to go to the gym, be around positive role models like the Waynes and the Venuses and other people. And, just going up there every day consistently like that, that's what kind of kept me on that straight and narrow.
Okay. How this question for me.
Yeah.
How did you deal with to know where you come from and see some of the stuff going on in growing up and in your home, and be like, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to go through the same thing.
Right.
But some of the stuff, kind of like me, I was jumping out there because like some of the stuff like don't do this, don't do this. No, you can't do this, you can't do this. I'm like, I'm finna do it anyway.
Right.
But I want to experience because you hiding it from me. And stuff like that. But
so you want to see what it's about firsthand.
When I was real young, my mama, they used to smoke cigarettes and stuff. But we have guests and stuff like that. Preachers come, this was baby.
Right.
They had the ashtrays under the goddamn couch and stuff like that and all that other stuff. To my mama, she broke her leg. And then she changed. She said she actually seen her leg get broke. So it was something that changed her. So to when she completely stopped.
Yeah.
So when she stopped, I was still kind of confused because I didn't see what she seen.
Right.
And I didn't feel what she seen. But still, dealing with some of the people I was dealing with and going to some of the places, a lot of people was doing a lot of covering, a lot of sheltering. So I'm like, I feel like it's nothing to do, or it's maybe bored, or maybe this and that and this and that. So I go out and be like, shoot, I want to do this anyway. And then that peer pressure comes.
Oh, yeah.
So how can I talk to these young men, young women too, to deal with this peer pressure when I seen some things, but I haven't really experienced those things. And it makes me wonder, how did you actually, I know you said that going to these different places, and it put something in your heart to make you focus on this, like music, dance, painting, drawing. All of that is an art. How did you deal with that peer pressure, even though you may have some friends or some people in the neighborhood? Because every good apple is not at the gym. So I know you had to have some bad apples to come your way. Hey, Project, let's leave the gym today. Let's go over here and do this. Yeah. How did you fight that?
I mean, it was a combination of things. Again, like people talking to me, telling me that was the wrong thing to do. And then me seeing like, the pathway, like I said, my parents took. Some of it boiled down to fear. Just me being afraid of ending up like my parents. It's like I didn't want to experiment with certain things because like I didn't know what this substance was going to do to me, how it was going to make me feel, how I was going to react to it. And so I was afraid to try those different things because of that, because of what I saw. And when people came to me like, hey, try this, or you want to smoke some of this, or take a sip of this, I was like, no, I'm good. I'm straight.
Okay.
Right. And so that really kind of like helped me stand firm on my, because I wouldn't call myself a leader like when I was younger, I was more of like a go with the flow type of dude, like follow the crowd type thing. I
Okay.
mean, I did stand out and do my own, had my own things that I own interests. At the same time, I wasn't out there in the front leading nobody, and nobody wasn't following me. You know, a lot of people didn't even know I drew back then.
I'm one.
Yeah, you knew. Except for the people I hung out with that was close.
No,
with,
I'm one that didn't know.
Yo, you didn't know?
No,
Yeah,
I did not
yeah.
know. I did not. Come on, we stayed in the same house a couple times.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? I did not know.
Yeah.
I'm
See,
like-
a lot of people didn't know that about me. Some of the things I was into. A lot of people didn't know I played music. You know, played trumpet and whatnot. Because I stopped doing some of those things as much when I got to high school, and started focusing just more on the sports, on basketball. You know, being at basketball practice every day. Shout out to Coach Billy Wade and his staff. You know, Coach Wade over at Clark Central High School. He was head coach of the basketball team when I was there. They taught us a lot, you know, about life lessons. You know, they kept it real with us or whatnot, about what it's like, you know, out there in the real world. And I appreciated them for that. You know.
What made you change that? Because as me knowing you as a basketball player,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen a lot of people play basketball, you the five.
Appreciate
You
it.
you always been a five, but in and in the mind, you five too. Your brain works.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a dummy. You're not stupid.
Right.
You do the work. You participate,
Mm-hmm.
class, school, etc. So I'm pretty sure. I never seen your report card, but I know you had good grades.
Yeah.
So what made you say, you know what? I don't want to do basketball. I got different motives, and I want to do something else with my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to just be an athlete. I want to be a black man with potential, with more than potential, because potential is having the will and having the want to do it, but you're not doing shit.
Right.
But being able to actually do something positive and want to be a part of your community
Mm-hmm.
and want to be able to give back. Because, you know, we got a lot of, you know, people, sports, athletes make millions of dollars,
Mm-hmm.
but some give back with money. But some just don't give back anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we got one guy right now, I mean, I don't understand a lot of people trying to talk to him, but he's out here waving guns and stuff, sending off the wrong image.
Mm-hmm.
But when you already getting like $20 million, but you still want to live this different life,
Mm-hmm.
that the young kids want to grow up to be athletes
Mm-hmm.
and basketball players. But you want to live the life that you don't need to live, or you don't have to live.
Right.
So what made you change your mind? Like, well, I don't even know if your mind was ever made up to be an athlete, but you was good. But not to pursue that, to pursue something else.
Yeah, my mind was definitely made up to be an athlete at one point in time. It's funny that you asked that because I did have hoop dreams, like literally.
Okay.
Like I wanted to play ball in college. I didn't necessarily want to go to the NBA, but I did want to play at the college level. What I had to come to a realization of, and what I had to have an internal dialogue with myself about and be realistic about, was my chances of making it to that. Because you say I'm good, but
What about tenfold?
but when I'm amongst like other people that also are just as good or better than me, it's like my talent wasn't rising to the top, to the cream of the crop.
And then
like,
if you get hurt,
right, and
Check.
it was people that was out there that was better than me. You know, like I admit that. But I mean, I got playing time at Clark Central, but I wasn't starting. You know, it was people that was playing in front of me, and so even though I was a good player, and I can hold my own on the court, it was other people that was in front of me just doing the same thing I was doing or better than I was doing. You know.
check.
I was a pure shooter, you know.
You got
Situational
them
shooter.
handling skill too now.
Yeah, I got a little bit of handling skill.
I really ain't seen too many like you. And
But
shout out to
yeah,
Ray Prince. Ray
definitely.
Prince.
Definitely.
He another one. But he's on the same page
Mm-hmm.
in the community. And that's one thing I love about you two guys. Like, y'all could have focused, but I'm glad you decided to have a backup plan.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And so like one of the things that I did get hurt my junior year at Clark Central. It sidelined me. You know, I was at my junior year. I was coming off the bench for the varsity. You know, I was like second, third team. But yeah, that kind of like put me out of basketball for a while, and then by the time I got back healthy, it was like the beginning of my senior year, and so I'm kind of like just easing back into stuff. And but you got these guys that are playing the whole season, that getting
And
reps
summer
in
leagues.
summer leagues and all that. And I'm not saying that's an excuse. Like I said, like I did what I did when I could. I got playing time. I had a couple of good games. Where I would score like 15 points, 12 points, something like that. Mostly just shooting threes. But it was a great experience. But I knew that I wasn't tall enough. I wasn't like athletic enough. I was barely dunking.
Well,
So
Spud Webb wasn't tall enough.
you right.
You know what they told him?
But he had a different type of work ethic too, though.
10-4.
Like if you don't have that type of work ethic of a Spud Webb or like somebody like that, like yeah, and I didn't have that type of work ethic. I was disciplined to a degree, and I would go play ball every day. But you gotta have deliberate practice. You gotta have the right trainers. You gotta have people that done been on that level to be able to show you like, okay, this is what you do. This is the angle you need to take when a defender does this. Like you gotta have a basketball IQ as well. Like it's more than just being athletic, of course, but you gotta put in that work. And so I wasn't putting in that work like that. Not with basketball anyway.
Heard.
Yeah.
So what would you put in that work into? Your
drawing and painting. Like I was always drawing. Like from elementary school on up. Like I had a pencil in my hand if I had some free time, some downtime. Like got done with my work early in class, I pull out a piece of paper and start sketching something from one of my textbooks in school or in class or something. And so all them different hours I was putting in drawing and practicing and learning about art and I had teachers that also nurtured my talent, and my interest in art. And so I was able to mimic stuff pretty well without tracing it, of course. Like I can look at a picture and recreate that picture and draw that picture at a very young age. And I used to check out like how to draw books from the library in school like all the time. That was my favorite type of book to check out. I wasn't a big reader in school. I mean, I could read and I read when I had to, but my main thing was like, how do I enhance and sharpen my skills as an artist? And so that's what I did. I would check out those type of books and try to learn more about that craft.
man, kind of complicated. I still don't understand because I even took the class. I wanted to draw. I wanted to be able to draw and paint and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Just a little tiny bit. But I even took classes on, and I could never get it.
Yeah,
I could never get it, bro. And it's something that like it kind of, I don't know. That's something I wanted to do, but I just never pursued it or whatever. But that's, you say something that somebody wanted. That was something that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be an artist, but then growing on up, started to find something else. Dealing with my brother and Jabril, mm-hmm. them they started doing some other stuff, and I was a little one running behind them. Mm-hmm. Then music came. Yeah, music came, so that became my art form. Mm-hmm. So, but I still think about drawing because sometimes I get to doing stuff and I'm like, I need this. I'm like, I wish I knew how to draw this. I wish I knew how to paint this or whatever. Right. But my mind, it just don't work that way. Yeah. And it don't put me in that predicament where I can like sit down and, you know what I'm saying, actually sit down and try hard to try to figure it out to do it. Yeah. But it takes real brain power, I believe, especially when you're dealing with details. Mm-hmm. And when you painting and when you drawing. How do you work with your mindset to actually, in your eyes, because eyes in your mindset, how do you accumulate and put all of that together like this, like the dreads? Mm-hmm. I can be over there, I can tell they dreads, but they look like real dreads. I'm like, how do you pay attention to that detail? Because my brain's not like it. I can get distracted real easy. Yeah, very easy, and that's why like trying to take a test, I need to be by myself because I can't function with all this noise and stuff. Like I need quietness. Mm-hmm. So how do you pay attention to that detail and be able to put that detail down, even when you're doing self-portraits. And you say you started doing that at a young age,
Mhm.
being able to draw somebody or look at something and without tracing it.
Right.
Because same thing with that. Same thing with, okay, I'm not gonna follow my mom and my dad's footsteps.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna follow in their footsteps. That's strong willpower.
Right.
To sit there and actually be. How do you control that power in your brain to actually make you sit down and be able to have that patience and that time?
Yeah, it's something that I didn't even realize I was doing at first. Again, like when I was young, I used art as a tool to help clear my mind. You know, it was like therapy for me.
So that was you clearing your
That
mind.
was me clearing my mind. Like when I sit down and quiet my mind and focus on drawing something, like I'm not thinking about nothing else but what I'm drawing, what I'm focused on, what's right in front of my face. Like so all the trauma in my household, all the stuff I'm dealing with at school,
You was
in the neighborhood,
escaping.
I was escaping. And
So
I was getting lost on this piece of paper that's right in front of me, getting lost in it. Like day in and day out. For like hours at a time even, you know, and that was my refuge and my escape, so to speak. Like I wasn't going out like wilding out like some people try to escape that way.
by
And turn
going to the
drugs,
clubs
yeah.
and partying, getting
Drinking,
high,
getting
getting drunk,
high,
that's
yeah.
their tool.
Right, that's their coping mechanism. My coping mechanism just happened to be something artistic, you know.
I want to say this.
That's just what it was, and like, to the point though you were saying about how do you do that. It gets harder as you get an adult, become an adult, because you got responsibilities, you got bills to pay, you got other things to figure out. And so you don't have a lot of time to sit there and work on no drawing or craft or nothing like that. You got to figure out how to put
Live.
food on the table. You got to figure out how to live. You got to figure out how to pay your rent, keep house over your a roof over your head, and all that. And so it gets harder the older you get. And I don't have no magic formula on how to tell people to tap into that. I would just say though, just try to practice quieting your mind, and you don't have to start for a long period of time. When you first start off, it can be 2 or 3 minutes a day. Just try to sit in silence and not think about nothing or not do anything, or do something. Just write down like one word over and over again for like a whole minute, a couple of minutes straight, and you'll see like if you get into a habit of that, get into the practice of that, you can do it like for longer periods of time. Cause that's what I did when I would sit down and draw a little bit. You know, I'll draw for a little bit and then I'll, draw longer for the next time, and just build upon it. Whatever. That's how you kind of get into the practice of doing that. But you gotta be intentional with it. you can't be BSing with it.
I want to say this. I want to say this to you. And when I'm pointing at me, I'm looking at the camera. I'm pointing at me. Mr. White, quiet time is important. Self-time is important. Because in those times, you also begin to get to know yourself. Who you are, things that you want. So, Mr. White, understand that quiet time is important to you. Maybe not to nobody else. Also, to keep yourself from doing some things that you don't want to do. When you move away from some of those things, Mr. White, you have to maneuver a different way. So when you replace those things, like, I don't want to go to the club no more. Like, I don't want to be a game banger no more, and I don't want to go kick it with the Bloods and the Crip anymore. I have to find somewhere else I want to go kick it at that's positive. That where I can replace that instead of going back to doing the same negative things that I was doing. I'm just talking to me, Mr. White. I don't know about y'all, but I have to start somewhere. So, please tell these folks what your Cash App is before we stop. What's your Cash App? Do you have a Cash App?
I mean, I do have a Cash App, but I'm not hurting for money right now.
It ain't about no
I know
hurting
ain't about
for money.
hurting for money.
Just in case if somebody wants to
But-
support you or they want to donate.
I mean, they can support me by buying my art.
How can they do that?
they can go check out my Instagram page, Flanigan's Portrait Studio. But before I get into that, I did want to leave them with one more jewel.
Give it to me.
Like when you're practicing quiet in your mind, it's no substitute for also going to seek professional help. Like therapy is important, and even if you got your stuff together, you can still go see a therapist to keep your stuff intact and in the road. Um, like I'm looking for a therapist right now. I'm looking for a particular type of therapist though. I'm looking for a black male therapist that specializes in family trauma, family substance abuse, trauma. I got a lot of things that I need to unpack from my childhood that I experienced, that I went through, that I haven't like unpacked with a professional, you know. And so, although I do practice like meditation and like prayer and those different type of things, and I quiet my mind on a regular basis. It's nothing that can replace like serious like professional help like therapy. And so I do want to like just put that out there to the people listening. Like go seek help. Nothing wrong with everybody need help. I need help. Brother right here need help. The other brothers in the room, they need help. They need people that can lean on. Make it happen, man.
Everybody needs somebody that they can lean on.
Right.
What we was talking about earlier, a lot of people been traumatized. But in this culture, if you in this, I'm pretty sure that you have been traumatized some way, shape, form in your life. You said maybe you have it. Even if you have it together, I'm pretty sure some type, form, or fashion, you have been traumatized. If not, that means you're perfect. And from my knowledge, it says Mark the perfect man. It didn't say the perfect men. That means there was one perfect man. That means I fall short daily. That means I'm not perfect and I probably will never be perfect. So once I think I know all of the information and I think I know all of the knowledge, chances is you're not going to be able to tell me nothing. Because I know it all. So that's why I'm always trying to encourage you guys to do the next right thing. Because mental health is for real. No matter where you come from. And I appreciate that, Broderick. Because what you just said is something I try to get and try to put out there. Love, love, love. Love yourself. That's part of loving yourself by trying to figure it out and get to the root of the problem. Why do I feel this way? Where did it come from? In the beginning, yeah, I know, okay, I got whooped, I got this. No, but in the beginning, at the bottom, where did it come from? The root of the problem. And if we never work on it and never get to the root of the problem, chances is history will repeat itself. You got a Facebook page?
Yeah. Check me out on Flanigan's Portrait Studio. That's FLANIGAN_S. Flanigan's Portrait Studio on Facebook. Flanigan's Portrait Studio on Instagram as well. Click the follow button if you so choose. I appreciate that. Check out my work. If you see something you like, DM me on Instagram or DM me on Facebook, and we can discuss prices.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Before we leave.
It depends.
I just want to do it so they can get to.
Yeah.
This.
Right.
What was you thinking? What inspired you for this? Because I just feel like every artwork that a person, something might inspire them to click in their head. This is what I'm going, this is what I'm going to do. What inspired you for this?
Oh man, that's a lot, man. We might have to start a whole nother episode to get on this topic.
I won't be mad. I won't be mad.
So what inspired me to do this painting right here was something that transpired in the summer of 2020. George Floyd was brutally murdered by police officers. Many people saw the video. There was a response nationally, really around the world.
Traumatized people.
Yeah, a lot of traumatized people. Like people began to step up and protest and take to the streets. And so a group of people here in Athens organized a rally. It wasn't even necessarily a protest. It was just a rally to raise awareness around what happened to George Floyd, rest his soul, and many others, the others that came before him. George Floyd was really that jump off point though, that people were just fed up and that people wanted to see some action. And so I was a part of the earlier organizing or rally what happened downtown. There was some little mishaps that happened. You know, people dispersed like after the speakers got done talking, after they got done saying, you know, their spiel and whatnot. Shout out to the organizers of that rally. It was some black queer women who organized that rally. They did their thing. Really appreciate those sisters. And yeah, so after like the sun went down, a small group of people stayed out there and were still blocking the street, blocking the road, like just exercising their First Amendment rights of protesting, you know, raising awareness around this situation, proclaiming that Black Lives Matter, right? And so what happened was the city government ended up passing an ordinance, a curfew ordinance, saying that everybody had to be in the house by a certain time. Everybody had to be dispersed from downtown. While they were passing this ordinance, they already had like GBI was here, uh, different state troopers were here. Who else? It was they brought in like a light military, like a light military force, and they made an announcement saying that hey, we just passed a curfew. Y'all have to leave. There, it's an ordinance now in play. Like they signed all this within a matter of a few hours, signed it into law, real quick, like. And then so
That fast.
that fast they
Boom.
instituted a curfew, yeah, to get people to leave and go home. And now by law you have to be off the street because now we're under curfew, right? And so they basically initiated a level of violence against the peaceful protesters. People were just sitting down holding hands. People were just blocking the street. They weren't doing nothing to nobody. They weren't tearing up no buildings. None of that was happening. And so they started to spray tear gas into those people. They started to shoot them with like bean bags and projectiles, like non-lethal projectiles, like rubber bullets and stuff. And then they tried to spin it for the news that they wasn't doing that, that nobody got shot and all that. But I know people that was down there. They took pictures, you know, and they had the actual bean bag that they got hit with. And then they were showing like the marks on their like chest and their stomach where they got hit with projectiles. So it happened. And so after all that, you know, went down and all that ensued, I was talking to some of my friends about it and just hearing their experience and the trauma they went through with all of that, and that state sanctioned violence. And so I created this piece in response to that experience that they were telling me about. I wasn't down there when all that happened. I was on the phone with some of them though, because they called me like asking me if I could call like the police chief to see if they can like just leave and go home, because they were trying to arrest people. And this one, Chief Spruill was here actually. Chief Spruill was the police chief back then when all this went down. And so I did call Chief Spruill, ask him if my friends that were still down there could leave. And he was like, yeah, if they going straight home, you know, we'll let them go. We're not going to arrest them and whatnot. And so he did let them go. But it was just still a whole traumatic experience. And they were running, hiding in different buildings and stuff, you know, trying to figure out what was going on, because it was smoke everywhere, tear gas everywhere, and all kind of stuff. But this painting, it's a lot of symbolism within this painting. You see, you got an American flag over my mouth, and his hands actually like intertwined like this over the American, like within the American flag, and it just signifies or symbolizes like how in America they try to silence a certain type of people when they stand up for themselves, or when they try to protest, or when they try to fight back for a righteous cause. You know, it's like we just proclaiming that our lives matter. We're proclaiming that we are done with police brutality. Like this does not need to happen to our people, especially when, you know, when a person, so-called criminal, quote unquote criminal, is not harming anybody or not harming themselves, and they lose their life in a situation like that by just an interaction with the police. It's like it's so inhumane, you know, and it's so traumatic and tragic. The loss of life at any point in time, you know, and so this painting is speaking to all of that pain, that trauma, that frustration, And then it has the Juneteenth bottle right here because like that symbolizes when African Americans in the U.S. were free. Like our Independence Day is not the same Independence Day as the 4th of July, 1776. We were still in bondage then, and so that's what Juneteenth and why Juneteenth is referenced in the painting as well, because that's when we got our independence or our freedom, so to speak, in this country, in these United States. And then I have like other symbols on, like it's covering up right now, the little symbol up at the top of the painting.
The elements?
Yeah, the elements. So I got chemical compound. Oh, it's on this side. My bad. So I got chemical compounds and elements over here. I think you covering it up, Brother White. I got chemical compounds and elements up here. One of them is a chemical compound for tear gas, and another one is a chemical compound for what was it? Dang, it's escaping me right now. I know I think both of them might be tear gas actually, but it's two different types of tear gas. And then that's why I got the tears coming out of like my eyes right here within the painting, kind of symbolizing how those people were like bombarded with tear gas and all that stuff, And so yeah, and then I got the Pan African flag in the background. That's what the red, black, and green colors symbolizes. That Pan African like unity, or that we need to aspire to in terms of like our collective like experience, like here for people, black people in America. Yeah. But I don't know if people know too, like Juneteenth is celebrated with a red drink. Traditionally, like Juneteenth, and for those who don't know what Juneteenth is, it's a holiday that's celebrated, and it started in Texas, I want to say, in Galveston, Texas, when the Union soldiers, when they reached Galveston, Texas, it was around June. It was in mid-June when they reached it, and then when they let the African Americans know that they were freed, and when the Civil War was over. And so
they didn't even know they was free.
They didn't even
been
know.
Free for a whole year.
Yeah.
Free for a whole year. Didn't even know it.
Didn't even know it. They had to have the troops come in to let them know that they were free. And so when that happened, people were, ecstatic. They were happy. They went to the streets, shooting guns in the air. Went to they raised the American flag, dancing around the flagpole. It happened here in Athens too. Instead of it being in June, it was May 4th, 1865, is when the Union soldiers reached Athens, and they let the black people know who were enslaved in Athens that they were free. They went to City Hall, downtown Athens. They shot guns in the air. They danced around the flagpole. They raised the American flag. And it was a celebration, because they had just gained their freedom. And so that's, we when I celebrate Juneteenth now, that's what it means for me. It's like our people, our heritage, our Independence Day, so to speak. And I got a Juneteenth shirt on right here. We actually wrote a grant, the organization I work for. We're going to be doing a Juneteenth event out in Rolling Ridge. We're going to take it to the people,
Huh? What? Tell me about that, please.
Yeah, man, we're doing a Juneteenth event. It's going to be on Saturday, June 17th. We got a Juneteenth event out there in the community in Rolling Ridge. We're going to have a DJ playing music, bouncy houses for the kids, face painting, try to get some ice cream and some treats out there. We'll get some like grilled food, hamburgers, hot dogs. Man, come out, bring the family, man. It's going to be a peaceful event. It's going to be a beautiful black event.
I think that's where I want to be at.
It's not just for black people. We welcome in all people to
all
come
cultures,
out and celebrate all cultures. We want people to learn about our culture, our experience. And it's going to be great, man. Like, we're going to come out and have fun, show love, spread love, educate people about Juneteenth. Yeah, we're gonna make a big deal out of it, man. We're going to make a big splash, man.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
That night in Athens, or whatever.
Tomorrow that night when they were downtown, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think if Lenny Kravitz or Jay-Z was down there performing and everybody was getting drunk, and it was 5 o'clock in the morning, it's time for them to go home, and everybody's still down there getting drunk, do you think that, even if it was Rage Against the Machines down, do you think that would have happened?
Nah, that wouldn't have happened. Not like that. They would have asked people to move, but as Especially if it was like mostly white people. Nah, that wouldn't happen like that. Nah, it definitely wouldn't.
They just your opinion, and they just my opinion.
Right.
It just we don't really know. It's just opinion.
Nah,
But hey,
I know.
hey, what's going on June 17 again?
Yeah, June 17th, man. We in Rolling Ridge, man. Like for real, come and chop it up with us. We're gonna be out there from 5 p.m. to about 10 p.m. It's gonna be hot out there, so dress cool, like throw your shorts, your clean outfit, clean shoes.
Not butt naked now.
Right.
Gonna be kids out there.
Right,
Not butt naked.
Gonna be kids out there. It's a family friendly event. We're gonna make it do what it do, but we're gonna definitely celebrate this holiday, man. I mean, we were celebrating before it became a federal holiday. And so, yeah, I mean, some people don't like how it's becoming like corporatized. I mean, I don't personally like it either. How these different corporations, like the Walmarts and all that, the Walton families, how they making money off of like all these different holidays, selling merchandise and all ice cream, Juneteenth ice cream coming out, man. Like, and these companies, most of them ain't even black owned,
Exactly.
It'll
Shut
be
up,
one
Daddy.
thing.
Shut up.
It'll be one thing if it created an economy for the people that were harmed, during the enslavement of people and forced and exploited labor who weren't compensated. It'd be different if those people had these businesses and they were like reaping the benefits from the holiday. But it's some craziness going on out there, man. Like, so that's all I say about that. But
Hey,
come out and enjoy Juneteenth, man.
y'all heard what he said. It's gonna be some free food, all of that.
Yeah.
On the grill. Bouncing houses for the Juneteenth Rolling Ridge.
Yeah.
And y'all know y'all like the projects.
It's a Saturday.
It's gonna be different.
It's not gonna be on the actual 19th. The 19th falls on a Monday this year.
It's gonna be on the 17th, right?
It's gonna be on the 17th, which is a Saturday. So yeah, come out.
What Love to Be Inspired.
Yeah, Love to Be Inspired. That's my personal Instagram page, man. I don't do nothing on there.
Hey, ignore that, what I just said. Ignore what I just said. You better ignore what I just said.
Follow me on Flanigan's Portrait Studio, though. Flanigan's Portrait Studio.
Hey, keeping it real, Mr. White. Signing off. Thank y'all for spending time with us. Till next time. About 2 more hours.
It's that underground ass. It's that underground ass. It's a long way up. It's a long way down. Sometimes you get to past the ones you see on the way back down. It's a long way up. Yes, sir. It's a long way down. Yes, sir. You got to learn to love yourself before someone else. I said it's great to be a Georgia Bulldog. Say it's great to be a Georgia Bulldog. I said it's great to be a Georgia Bulldog. Even if I lived in Cali, that's how me.